Hi everybody and welcome back to Sketch to See. I'm sorry it has been a while, but recently we've had to prioritize getting our stuff together and our lives in order rather than producing content for you guys. So this episode will kind of fill you in and bring you up to speed on where we are now. So where are we? What happened? The last you saw, I made a lovely meal for the crew and we were in Japan. Well, Jamie and I left the boat in Japan and traveled back home to Cayman for the holiday season. Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, we got a phone call from our captain that was moving the boat from Japan to Malaysia, into Singapore, and then all the way to Phuket in Thailand, where we were planning on spending a little bit of time. It was a very unpleasant call. Essentially, they were adrift at sea. Adrift, no wind, and unfortunately, our engines had decoupled. Why? Well, I can clearly tell you is because Tynebridge, the manufacturer of the drivetrain, supplied HH with the incorrect bolt lengths and strengths. So this video is all about the haul out that we just had to replace those engine couplings, and while we did that, we have to do our engine shaft seals. So I realized while I was making this video that I never really explained how we actually got the boat from being adrift to somewhere we could actually repair it. So there's two things that happened there. We actually deployed the tender because we were not far from Batam, and the tender itself actually towed the vessel into the nearest marina in Batam, where we did the repair. And the immediate repair to get us underway to Phuket was where we actually bolted the drive shaft directly to the transmission. Yes, it did vibrate a little bit more because that's the sole purpose of the actual connection that needed to be replaced, but it was suitable enough to get us to Phuket where we could do the rest of the work, order the rest of the parts, and properly diagnose exactly what had happened. Lucky for us, we had Chris on board at the time, and as usual, he stepped up and made all this happen. You can see here that we are just getting currently set up to leave the dock, and there's a fair bit of wind that's actually pushing us directly on towards the dock. So we are using this stern spring line here, and in order to do that, all we do is back onto it. And as you can see, the bow will come out and the stern will get closer, and all you do is use fenders to keep the boat off of the dock. As you can see, it's quite an effective method, and then once the bow is free or clear from the obstruction, all we do is pull forward and take that line back on board. See, once you get out of the channel, it's so shallow you can actually see rocks right there. Sorry, I have this sped up a fair bit, but that is the little guide boat right in front of us that is just taking us down this very, very narrow channel. And if you look carefully, you can see some of the little sticks that mark the channel as we pass into it and through it, but it gets quite close. This is a relatively new facility here where they're doing a ton of work, and they gave us a great rate to haul out because we have to change our shaft seals on our main engines. This is the first haul out that this boat has ever had since leaving China. I think now he's swinging around. Not a lot of room for error here. Let's go to the time lapse from the GoPro that we left on the hot tub, and you can see here as we back into the the channel, we're pretty much at the width limit, not the strength limit for this crane, but the physical width. There's maybe 1.5 meters on each side of the vessel. Perfect. Well done, Captain Charlie. We got a familiar face back, Chris. He will actually be doing the shaft seal change today. So sorry for the noise, but this is arguably one of the hardest parts of the process, which is positioning the lifting straps directly on the proper bulkhead, which is our aft bulkhead that goes up both levels. And then that white foam you just saw is the protection for the paint. And then you can see obviously the 2 divers in the water are helping position everything. And then once that's secure, they come up a tiny bit on it just to hold the pressure and the foam on the boat. And then we position this strap. So these travel lifts are fascinating because if you look all the way up there, they can move the straps forward and back without actually moving the lift itself. Let's see how it's going on the other side. Yeah, boats really aren't meant to fly. If you look under the hull, you can actually see the travel lift straps going across. And this is how we get off the boat. And now it comes back to pick up Charlie and myself. Now you can see that the boat is actually out of the water. There's a whole bunch of growth that we have. These are all barnacles, and yeah, we do have prop speed coating, and this is on both sides, but this is unfortunately while the shaft seals were being replaced, I had to scrape off the barnacles. And this is the first time that Charlie had actually seen this damage to one of the wings while the boat was out of the water. And we were, unfortunately, when we were in the shipping channel in China, this is damage from our anchor chain. So let's go to the time lapse of what actually happened this day, and you can see that the whole crew plus a few people from the yard are actually running around trying to get as much done as possible. So after a thorough inspection of the bottom, we had to scrape all of the barnacles off of the actual props themselves and all of our underwater lights. The copper coat really stood up really well, and there was minimal growth on the copper coat itself. But just to get the Gorafold props to fold back and forth again, that took quite some time and quite some effort. And we were able to do this while the shaft seals were actually being replaced on the inside, and then it took a few of us to put them back in together. Thank you everybody for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I am starting to get back to making more content. I've got a little bit more time available now that we're out and about for the third time, I think. If you did like the video, please like, subscribe, and share. A small click from you goes a long way for us. You can always follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And if you have any questions or just want to talk about boats, you can always reach out to me at sketchtosea@gmail.com. Thanks again for watching and hope to see you again soon.